Welcome to Life After Loss. Louisa Smith is here. My name is Pat Panetta. And we're here, Lou, after several meetings in the lead up. Here we are sitting in the studio. We've got a cast of thousands, which is wonderful. And we're having a courageous conversation about grief and loss. And I'm so happy that you've given us the opportunity to do this, because it's so important to have those conversations and reduce the stigma around loss and grief. Louisa Smith.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's great to be here, particularly seeing you face to face after all this time in isolation.
Yes.
And it's a good segue, I guess, into the conversation that we're having today, because there's so many people that suffered many different losses during the COVID-19 pandemic and the enforced isolation that many people were experiencing throughout the country, particularly in Victoria and most recently this year in New South Wales. So
that's our focus, loss during COVID, because there's different types of loss. Of course, Griefline know all about this. You deal with different types of loss, the loss of a loved one, but we're talking about the loss of your freedom or job, your routine, that sort of thing. So during the COVID period, that's our focus today.
Yeah, absolutely. And particularly around loss of connection and community, particularly for men. It's a subject when we talk about mental well-being and mental health for men, a lot of that is attached to, their activities and what they do, what makes them feel good as individuals. And, men deal with loss a little bit differently to women. And in particular, I was just doing some research before we got together around a survey that was conducted recently in the United States that found that the COVID-19 pandemic is having a bigger impact on the mental and general health of men, with 77% of respondents saying their stress levels have increased during the pandemic, while 59% reported feeling isolated. Experts say a large percentage of men typically avoid seeking treatment for their physical or mental health. So, that's just one of many surveys, and particularly relevant to us and our conversation today because it relates to men's mental health during COVID-19.
Because we're going to meet a man, the co-founder of an organisation that dealt with that problem, and I guess unknowingly, the genius of this organisation was that it brought men in, because men don't seek help traditionally, so this was a different way of doing it, and I'm not sure whether he knew that he was even doing that. So we're going to meet our first guest soon. What do you think, Lou?
Absolutely, bring him in.
And now from the Mini Spit Society, which is a group of people who share the common love of cooking a piece of meat on the $85 Jumbuck Mini Spit. Here's the co-founder, Matty Jackson. Welcome to Life After Loss for Griefline. Good to have you in the studio, mate.
Paddy Panetta, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to be back with my old friend Lou.
That's right. Chief Marketing Officer of Griefline, Louisa Smith. Now, did you hear that intro we spoke about? I genuinely feel that. I guess it's not, something that's it's unique to me. It was a stroke of genius to start the Mini Spit Society. Louisa, should we get him to explain for those who don't know what it is? Maybe that's a good place to start. What is the Mini Spit Society? And tell us all about it.
Yeah, the Mini Spit Society is a group of people that love cooking a bit of meat on the spit. Yeah. Bunnings offers a beautiful little spit for $85, and I bought one during the first lockdown. Had no idea what I was doing, so. Solution to my problem is I'd start a Facebook group and get a few guys together to start cooking and sharing tips and tricks and whatnot. And
took off like a rocket. So I definitely want to hear from Louisa about what she feels from a Griefline point of view, why it was so helpful for men through COVID. But did you realise what you were doing, Matthew? As you say, you loved spinning. Is it gyros or gyros?
Yeah,
or
that's one.
It's like you go to a kebab shop, all the meat on the thing with the charcoal. Gyros.
The Greeks say it properly.
Yeah. Did you know what you were doing?
Not really, to be honest. At the beginning, Pat, it was like I said, it was a solution to my problem of not knowing what the hell I was doing, cooking on this thing, and it gained traction. And because we were locked down, it was just taking up nice big chunks of time on the weekend, and everyone was sharing recipes and talking and chatting, and like Lou said, like we would be playing golf or having a beer at the pub with your mate. It was a great spot for guys to come together, or people to come together. Yeah. We've got a strong female community as well, majority guys to come together and have an outlet and a place to connect during COVID.
How important is that, Louisa? As Matty says, there's females there as well, but for blokes to gather in this sort of environment?
It is all about connection. when you're losing that physical capacity to actually be with people, be present with people, that spiral into loneliness can occur. So what Matt did, probably completely unbeknown to him of what he was actually creating, was a really safe, fun environment for people to get together and connect.
Yes. We can see behind you there the phone number for the Griefline helpline, 1300 845 745 for this free service. And I know it's all confidential, but I'm guessing blokes, a bit harder for them to pick up the phone and ring you when they feel isolated, when they're feeling that loss. Is it hard to find the men and encourage them to do that, Lou?
Yeah, definitely. So about 38% of our callers are male and the rest are female. Yep. Definitely seen a little increase this last 12 months with men reaching out, which is great to see. But definitely that it's a higher demographic of men. So really 18 to 44-year-old men, they're not really reaching out to us on the helpline.
So how valuable is it, again, that something like this just springs up for Griefline and your cause? So that's why you guys connected, I guess?
Yeah, 100%. That's why we connected. And I thought, as I start to gather a slight audience, I thought, what can we do to sort of help someone out or help a organisation out during the lockdown in the last 2 years. And obviously I've got a personal connection with Lou, being a friend for a long time. So when I saw the amazing work she was doing at Griefline, I reached out and we started putting together a little collaboration.
Well, you've been donating to Griefline, the not-for-profit organisation, yeah?
Yep. So we've got a website, minispitsociety.com.au. We sell merchandise for the group. So hats, stubby holders, T-shirts, singlets, stickers.
He's an entrepreneur, isn't he, Matthew? Mr. Crackleman, I want to mention that because it's the nicknames. Because that was what sort of gained traction early on, wasn't it? That everybody who came to the Facebook page had a nickname. Yeah,
it was the hook that got everyone involved. So when we got some airtime on 3AW early on, one of the group rules was you had to have a cooking name. Yeah. So I was Mr. Crackleman. There was lots of clever ones, So Happy Grillmore was one of them. There's heaps. Lord Fat Cap. Lots of funny ones, but you had to have a cooking name to sort of come into the group. So that was the hook, and it added a nice, fun element to it, and that's what gave it so much traction at the start. Yep.
How many members now on the Facebook page?
I think we've just ticked over 61,000. So
61,000.
Yeah, 61,000.
Nice.
So it gets a lot of traction. It's brought a lot of people together. It's connected a lot of old friends, and
good on you, mate.
It's done some
beautiful
good things for people.
Truly beautiful thing. Louisa, wouldn't it be nice if we could meet one of the members of the Mini Spit Society in the flesh, a big tall man? Wouldn't it be great if we did that?
I'd love that.
He's standing out there. He's a big fella. Scott Horton will join us now from the Mini Spit Society. Louisa, it's been a great relationship with the Mini Spit Society, 61,000 members. Why don't men seek help? And what was the problem in particular with COVID? I guess they felt that loss.
They probably didn't realise that they were actually grieving the loss of their mates and being able and their freedom and their sense of connection. They probably didn't even realise that's what was occurring inside of them and why they were feeling the way that they were feeling.
Are women more equipped to deal with that situation? Am I being sexist here? I'm just thinking maybe they're more flexible than guys are in a routine, or maybe they were at work. I mean, women work as well. I don't know. It just seems like blokes just, when the world turned upside down with the pandemic, I personally struggled with it. I mean, I had a relationship breakdown through that as well. COVID was part of it. Is that part of it too? When couples were together, I'm not sure if this is my personal situation, maybe it played part of it, but we spent so much time together in lockdown. Did that put stress on relationships as well?
Definitely. Yeah. What we noticed, particularly in the last 12 months, traditionally people will reach out to us because they're bereaved, so they've lost a loved one, they've died. And then other than that, it would be other losses like financial loss, but relationship loss crept up to number 3, presenting reason for why people reaching out to us. Loneliness and a sense of isolation was number 1.
I see.
So outside of bereavement. So that just tells us. And then number 4 was mental health issues.
Right. Scott Horton from the Mini Spit Society. I've just, talked about my personal story. How did you cope with COVID, mate? How did you get through it all? Everything okay?
I struggled. So I was set up to play football that year. I'd come out of retirement to go and play. And then I'm a diehard golfer. So I had two of my most favourite things taken away from me. I've got a small family and everything like that. So it was pretty tough. And my wife was sick of me whinging about golf and being on every other Facebook group that was against the lockdown on golf. So Maddie went to school with my wife and they were close friends at school. He did the dead ball with my wife. And we'd played up a few times at a couple of Bucks parties along the way. So there's a bit of bromance there, but we hadn't spoken in a while. And then another mutual friend said, "Oh, Jacko's started this group." He goes, "You love doing the spit. Like, you should join it."
Yeah.
So I thought I was a decent cook because I loved the spit roast. And I got in and there's some elite cooks in this group. So I think I was there at the infancy about 50 odd in.
Yep.
So I'm one of the OGs.
Yeah.
And then, like for me, working from home, having the young kids in the house, and it was just so hard to sort of switch off because you'd roll into the weekend and you're stuck in your house again. We were in full-on restrictions where you couldn't leave your home here in Victoria. So for me, you had all week pre-planning what you were going to spit on the weekend. So my wife got heavily involved. And I'll attest, I'm no good at putting the meat on the rod. So my wife, Kelly, is fantastic. So I don't touch it. Like if I do it, it's all lopsided and it doesn't spin properly. So she got involved, and then Maddie sort of set it up the way where you had to have a pork nut, you had to have a spit name. And then...
Yes. Well, and voice in my ear, our producer said, "Ask him his name." What was his name on Facebook?
I don't know if mine's controversial, but I was Sir Porks a lot.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'm Sir Porks a lot. I love crackle. So I did plenty of porks at the start. And then, so we pre-planned all week. And then once Saturday hit, it was sort of the ritual that went on. I think I did like 15 or 16 spits in a row. So 15 weeks. I mean, it was a long lockdown. So.
Louisa, this is genius, isn't it?
It is.
It's a community, is involving the family, something to head towards. Is that sort of all the elements people need to sort of try to get in line when dealing with loss?
And there's nothing worse than being in lockdown and not having your weekend activities to look forward to, your sporting activities, just your outlet, especially breaking up the monotony of being locked in your home day in, day out, and really not being able to do anything other than, maybe going for a walk around the block.
Yes.
And Scotty was probably the first one, I think, that made me realise what the group was actually doing. When it only was probably maybe 500 people, he's just like, "Mate, this is helping me out so much on these." Not even weekends, just during the week, because you get the family involved. It'd be a full week thing. Break it up from work, still being locked in the house, but have something to look forward to. So that's when I thought, wow, maybe it actually is doing it.
I've seen the Facebook page and checked it out, but for our viewers and listeners, describe for us what you see, the sort of posts, what you're posting, Scott, and you, Maddie. I saw dim sims wrapped in bacon on the rotisserie. So what sort of comments, good and bad? I think you have to monitor a bit of sort of bad stuff along the way as a monitor with Facebook, making sure it's all okay.
Well, it's social media. It doesn't, there's obviously some elements of it that you can't keep out every idiot. So there's obviously been some small hiccups along the way with some people, but we just get them out and move on. But we do get a lot of comments saying this is the best barbecuing group on Facebook, because we did set a nice standard at the start. I reckon there was a real no idiot policy in the group, and because it was such a amateur setup and every single person could get involved, it wasn't real elitist or anything like that. It was just, everyone's on the same level, and that's how it is. But the stuff pops up every week. I saw a guy with 3 flounder on the thing yesterday, and I was like, wow, I haven't seen that before. Like just random stuff.
No, I mean, some of the videos Maddie's uncles put up are just genius, and there's a whole comedy side to it as well. So there was an award every week that Maddie was doing. We got to see the good rooster himself get on there on the weekend. It was a bit of me time for Maddie, but it was fantastic. And for me, like, Maddie and I are friends, like we hadn't seen each other for a long time, but I've had friends from primary school and school from Facebook FaceTime me on the weekend going, how do I do this? I would have had 20 odd mates come to me and now buy a Jumbuck and then ask me for advice because they think I'm an expert. I'm not, but it's been fantastic. So it's been able to reach out to people, and a lot of my mates have struggled through COVID. And most of them are involved in this group now. So it's been fantastic.
Well, it sort of launched careers in a way. I guess, Maddie, we saw him in the news, and I think you've got a podcast and you're doing your bits and pieces. The Dizzy Greek as well. I saw him presenting a video. He's on the Facebook page as well. So it's opened up other avenues as well, Louisa. How good is this?
It's great. And, we've got a program at the moment called the Care to Call Project, and this is all about reaching out to people in the community that are feeling lonely and isolated. Mm-hmm. And one of our key pillars, it's got 3 pillars, is social prescribing, and all of that is about, and this is all evidence-based from the UK, around reconnecting people to social activities and getting them, in organised activities again, and building their confidence to reach out. Whether it's through Facebook in a group like the Jumbuck Mini Spit Society, or if it's just going to the local, art club, basket weaving, whatever, is your thing. It's just having the confidence to take that next step to reconnect.
Okay. Wonderful, guys. I guess there was a donation as well from you guys to Lou. The big check's been handed over and we've done all that. That was great. Yeah,
well, I guess this isn't a group that you want to see ending because of COVID, and the enforced isolation's coming to an end. We know that COVID's still going to be around for a while, but I'm really keen to know, what the guys have got planned for the group moving forward.
Okay. Yeah, and I think probably it just hasn't, ever since the restrictions have been eased, and we obviously get people from all around Australia. I think the momentum in terms of the group growth's been as strong as ever.
Yep.
So people still got to have birthdays and christenings and weddings and barbecues and that. So the spit will be pulled out and the group will continue to grow. We'll keep the merchandise rolling through at the minispitsociety.com.au and keep pushing some cash towards Griefline and Lou and the amazing things that she's doing.
Yes, so minispitsociety.com.au. And on Facebook, am I putting in Mini Spit Society or Jumbuck? What's the best way to find it and join the Facebook
In Facebook,
group?
You have to give Bunnings a slight plug. Bunnings, $85, Jumbuck Mini Spit Society.
Have they been on to you yet, Matthew, all the good work? I think Bunnings are okay with their marketing campaign. They don't sort of need you, but you've given them a bit of a leg up, sort of celebrating their mini spit.
Oh, a slight leg up, I would have thought. No, there hasn't been too much communication. Initially, there was a little bit of communication around setting a world record attempt, and that would be something maybe they'd look at getting behind. So, I don't know what it looks like, 1,000, 2,000. I don't think there's an actual category, so we'd have to create the category within Guinness World Records, get a space. But, the sort of lockdowns prevented that event from happening.
Right.
But
he's an ideas man, isn't he?
He is.
Records.
Bunnings has got the biggest free kick ever. So... I don't know. If they're out there, they should be listening.
They should be.
Yeah, get on the phone. Thank you, Matthew Jackson, Scott Horton from the Mini Spit Society. We'll give the boys a round of applause and thank you, boys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And Lou, creating that online environment that they've done here with the Mini Spit Society, you can phone Griefline, but you also have other resources as well. So embracing the digital connection with people.
Yeah.
On your website.
Oh, absolutely. And this is how the organisation has evolved with the help of our supporters like the Mini Spit Society, so that we can create a lot more content that people can access online, so that they, if you can't have access to a telephone and call the helpline, you don't feel inclined to do it. Mm-hmm. You can join our online forums, you can read all the resources and information around coping strategies and the different types of losses and how to, recognise what's happening in your body, in your mind, emotionally, mentally, physically, and how to support yourself when you're going through that.
Yes, because Griefline is the frontline responder, so you're dealing with people, hundreds of Australians every day, but then there's the ongoing support as well. So you can book a call back or you can use the online resources and you sort of just guide them through that sort of dark tunnel in a way to the light at the end. Yeah,
and we're there at every stage. And, with the helpline, you can call as many times as you like, and you can access the content 24/7 online. Okay.
We're all going to Matthew's place now for a mini spit, and we're all going to have some Sims wrapped in bacon. Okay, thanks, guys, for your time. And Louisa Smith, this is Life After Loss for Griefline.
We all experience grief and loss. We don't need to go through it alone. Griefline offers free counselling and support, holding space for you to be heard, without judgment or labels. We listen, connect, and empower. Our telephone counsellors are available 365 days a year, so there's always someone to talk to. Our supportive online community helps you share and connect to people with similar experiences. And our website gives you access to digital resources, wellbeing practices, and coping strategies. It's never too early or late to seek support. We're here to help you heal and find a way forward, together.
You don't have to face your grief alone. Call Griefline 1300 845 745 or visit griefline.org.au.